Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into a massive shift that's happening right under our noses in startup investing. You know, if you think the next big thing is still found with a quiet handshake in a private boardroom, well, you might be surprised by how much the game has already changed. So let's get into what's really going on. All right, so to really get where things are headed, you gotta look at where we've been. For literally decades, angel investing, I'm talking about that super critical early stage cash from wealthy individuals, it's always run on a system of trusted networks and, frankly, gut instinct. But there's a new force in town, and well, let's just say not everyone is rolling out the welcome mat. And you can see why, right? This skepticism makes a ton of sense. The whole world of online investment crowdfunding can feel a bit like the Wild West. You know the drill. You see a slick video, a valuation that seems ambitious, and you can't help but wonder, is any of this for real? Has anyone actually kicked the tires on this thing? It's a totally fair question that's kept a lot of smart, seasoned investors sitting on the sidelines. But what if holding on to that skepticism, even though it's understandable, is causing investors to miss the forest for the trees? What if this isn't just some passing fad, but a permanent, fundamental rewiring of how great companies get their start? All the evidence is pointing to exactly that. A massive, and I mean irreversible transformation. Yeah, this whole thing didn't just happen by accident. This shift is being pushed forward by three really powerful, interconnected forces that are completely reshaping the entire landscape for founders and for investors. So here's how it went down. First, new regulations like the Jobs Act basically blew the doors open, making it legal for startups to ask for money from, well, everybody, not just a handful of accredited millionaires. Then, right on cue, technology built these amazing online platforms that made it incredibly easy to reach a global pool of investors. And third, and this is key, at the exact same moment, traditional venture capital started backing away from those super early, risky deals to focus on safer, later-stage companies. So you see what happened. These three things coming together created a perfect storm. A vacuum, really. Just when startups finally got the tools to reach the masses, the traditional money they used to rely on moved upstream. And that left this huge critical funding gap right at the seed and pre-seed stage, which is exactly where innovation needs fuel to even get started. So who jumped in to fill that void? The crowd. That's right. Regular, everyday retail investors have already poured over $3 billion into early-stage companies through these new platforms. This is not a tiny niche market anymore. It's a massive new source of capital that is fundamentally changing the equation. Okay, so the money is real. We've established that. But this brings us right back to that core skepticism we talked about at the beginning. I mean, with thousands and thousands of deals floating around online, how on earth do you find the good ones? How do you separate the actual signal from all that noise? Let's be real, it's the elephant in the room. It's the question every single one of us is thinking. If basically anyone can toss the deal up online, isn't most of it going to be, well, junk? The traditional angel group, they'd filter hundreds of pitches just to find one. How can some website possibly compete with that kind of deep, hands-on vetting? Here's the thing. The answer is that we're asking the wrong question. The real revolution isn't about getting rid of the noise. Trust me, traditional deal flow has plenty of noise too. The revolution is in the new tools we have to filter that noise, using real-time data that just never, ever existed before. For the first time in history, we have public, trackable data on private, early-stage deals. We can literally watch how much money is flowing in and how many people are investing. We can measure a deal's momentum, like how fast is a company racing toward its funding goal. And over the long haul, we can track which companies actually get more funding down the line and see how they perform. This is a completely new kind of due diligence, and it's all driven by data. So does this mean the old way of doing things is totally obsolete? No, not at all. Far from it. The smartest investors out there are figuring out that this isn't a replacement for traditional angel investing. Think of it as a powerful upgrade. It's about building a brand new, blended playbook. Check out this new dynamic. On one side, you've got traditional angels. They bring absolutely priceless sector knowledge, that gut-level pattern recognition from seeing thousands of deals, and of course, their powerful networks. But on the other side, you've got the crowd. They bring transparent data, the incredible scale of thousands of investors, and a built-in community of passionate, early customers. Now, when you put the wisdom of the expert together with the wisdom of the crowd, you get a way more powerful, way more informed way to invest. So, where does all this leave us? I think it's really important to frame this correctly. This isn't some forecast about the future of investing. This is a description of what is happening in the present. This train has already left the station. The way founders raise money has fundamentally changed. So it only makes sense that the way investors find the best deals has to change too. The next unicorn, the next company that changes the world, it might not be discovered over a steak dinner or through a warm intro from a buddy. It might be discovered on a public platform with its potential already being proven by hundreds of small checks from people who just believe.
And honestly, that's the bottom line. This transformation is happening right now. For anyone investing in startups, the question is no longer if this new world is real or if it's relevant. The only question left is, how are you going to adapt? Thanks for watching.